Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, October 23rd. I just want to get a little information out there. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what's going on. Just my thoughts. We are on the brink of World War III with Russia because the left is strongly, or the establishment really, is strongly pushing all of their faults off on Russia to create a war. Why are they creating this war? Why do you think they're starting this? Okay, if you'll look back through the history, that last video, that I did a little bit of history on the wars and the finances and things like that. Every time the people start to wake up, they start a war with a foreign country. Every time the people start to realize what their rights are, they start a war. This is not only so that the government and the establishment can make money, but they can distract you from what's really going on. So let's get back to the basics and figure out what's really going on. Just a quick run. I'll give details on all these videos. I'll break it down. Driver's licenses, fishing licenses, IRS. I broke down the IRS in one video a little bit. I can give descriptive videos if you guys want me to. What it breaks down to is the Act of 1871 by our beloved Lincoln, which was actually the last president. They're coming forward. They're all CEOs of a major corporation of the District of Columbia. Since they made themselves a corporation and they wanted to operate everything on contract level, okay, contract law, contract level, everything is in contract now. What they didn't do is they didn't fully disclose your rights within that. When they made the Act of 1871, the people busted them and they said, hey, you can't turn a person into a corporation, which is what they did with our birth certificate. And you are very wealthy, by the way. You just don't know it yet. They are supposed to be taking care of all of our debt. We should have no debt. I'll get into a later video with that. But since they're operating on a contract level and they didn't fully disclose anything prior, nor did anyone sign a contract stating, I want to give 30 or 40% of my income away. Yeah, sure, I want to pay registration on everything. I want to be licensed to do everything. We did not sign any contracts of that. Our forefathers did not sign any contracts of that. They did not fully disclose any of that. So therefore, all of the legislation and policies that they put in place since the Act of 1871 are actually null and void, and we can take them back. How we do that is each and every one of you pick a category. I've picked several to fight them with. I'm fighting them on the IRS level. I'm fighting the Bureau of Land Management. The driver's licenses. I went and got new plates for my truck. Private plates. Some of you saw those. I'll show you where I got those at here in just a minute. But all of that stuff is our inalienable rights. Okay? And I want to touch on the licensing just for a second. I'm going to read you a little brief history. Anybody can get this, right? Citizens Rulebook. It's got the Constitution in it, Bill of Rights, some stories about our forefathers and things like that. I wanted to give you a little bit of a history lesson. Everybody knows Patrick Henry, give me liberty or give me death, right? You know where that story came from? Here is a little bit of history. Young Christian attorney Patrick Henry saw why a jury of his peers is so vital to freedom. It was March 1775 when he rode into a small town of Culpeper, Virginia. He was totally shocked by what he saw. There in the middle of the town square was a minister tied to a whipping post, his back laid bare and bloody with the bones of his ribs showing. He had been scourged mercilessly, like Jesus, with whips laced with metal. Patrick Henry is quoted as saying, when they stopped beating him, I could see the bones of his rib cage. I turned to someone and asked them what the man had done to deserve such a beating as this. He was scourged for not taking a license. The reply given him was that the man being scourged was a minister who refused to take a license. He was one of the 12 who were locked in a jail because they refused to take a license. A license often becomes an arbitrary control of government that makes a crime out of what ordinarily would not be a crime. It turns a right into a privilege, and that's exactly what they have done to all of us. They have taken our inalienable rights and flipped it and turned them into a privilege, which they have no right to do. Not only do they try to turn it into a privilege, and they have, but they're taxing us on it. That's taxation without representation. That's totally unconstitutional, completely. 3 days later, the man was scourged to death because he still refused to take that license. Now, we don't have to go through all the bloodbath. There is enough of us to where we can stand up and actually say something. We are starting to be awakened, and I hope that many more Americans start waking up. Every other country has been decimated. Okay, the people have been beaten down and they have given up, except the armed American. I hate saying the word citizen. I hate the word citizen because, according to Black's Law Dictionary, the word citizen, if you claim to be a citizen, you are claiming allegiance to the District of Columbia, which is the corporation the government made in 1871. You can either be a citizen or you can be an American. I'm an American, definitely. Let's go back to another privilege. An inalienable right they made into a privilege. The Second Amendment. The Second Amendment states that we have the right to bear arms. And the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Infringed in any way. They can't regulate it. They can't tell you what kind of arms you can buy. They can't tell you anything. They can't take your rights away like they did me for defending myself. The man hit me first. I beat his ass. And then here we go. Black's Law Dictionary. You guys should really look up Black's Law Dictionary. What is infringement according to Black's Law Dictionary? Because that's where our forefathers wrote the Constitution out of, and the definitions of Black's Law Dictionary. It is different than Webster's Dictionary. It is different. Infringement. The definition of infringement: a breaking into, a trespass or encroachment upon, a violation of a law, a regulation, a contract, or an inalienable right. That is infringement. The right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Period. Stand up for your rights. You have the right to travel. You have the right to do many things. Many, many things. I would start, if I were you, I would start with this website. See if you can see this book. How to Reclaim Your Power. Okay? Freedom from Government. That's one of the books that we can start with. You can go to freedomfromgovernment.org and you can buy your license plates for your vehicles and from your vehicles and everything from shop.freedomfromgovernment.org. Put the shop dot before Freedom from Government and you will find a place where you can buy your license plates for a private vehicle. The law actually is, if you're not engaged in commerce, you don't have to have a license, insurance, registration, none of that stuff. And that's a fact. I'm doing it as we speak. I drive everywhere. I go for a drive just to see if I can get pulled over, just to see what kind of good constitutional sheriffs and stuff we have around here. I am standing for our rights. I've stood up to the IRS. I've stood up to the BLM. I stand up to local municipalities. What are you doing? Are you standing up for one of these rights? Because if you're not, then I charge you. Turn off the fucking football game, get off the couch, and do something about it. Okay? If you're not part of the solution, you're going to be part of the problem. And that's the way that is. I love my motorcycles. I've been riding since I was 7 years old, and I'm 45 now. I've always had two wheels. And the freedom of having those two wheels and the loud pipes, I absolutely love it. That is my right. That is my right to gain my freedom and go out and blow off some steam on a highway if I want to, or a nice country back road or something like that. Take the wife for a ride. We all love it. So bikers, all of my biker brothers, I challenge you now. Take off the license plate that you have on the bottom of that, and order you a freedom from government plate and put on there, because that is your right. That they have no jurisdiction or ability to tell you what you can do on your own private motorcycle on our roads. Those are our roads, not theirs. We own them. We built this country, not them. How do they have the right to regulate it? They need to get their hands out there and start working if they want a right to say something about it. They have no right to infringe upon our inalienable rights. So stand up, all the bikers in the country. I challenge you now. Stand up, change your plates, and let's ride. We have got to change this country back to the way our forefathers originally planned it. And if each one of us will pick one of these, you don't have to pick several of them like I'm doing. Okay? Pick one right. You know, the right to travel. That takes a lot of money out of their pocket. I realize that. And that's the whole point. If you guys want to shrink their power and their control over us, we have to start chipping away at it a little bit at a time. And that's one really good way to do it. Download or pull up the right to travel. Google it, right to travel, and they'll give you a list. And you print out those Supreme Court rulings and everything since all the way back to 1803, I believe they are. And you have the right to travel. It's been proven by the Supreme Court. You take those papers, because a lot of these peace officers, they're not going to understand. They don't know. They were taught by the establishment, so they don't know either. So if you get pulled over and you have these plates, this is not a battle. Okay, this is a chance to educate another human being, another American. Maybe he's a good cop. I've run into a few of them around here. And they need to be educated as well, because a lot of this stuff they didn't get taught in law school when they went through all this stuff. But they are still good people. We still have good law enforcement here. We got some bad ones too. And the Act of Mulberry versus Madison in 1803, 176 U.S. 59, I think it was. I can't remember the exact one, but it states that you have the right to resist an unlawful arrest. Okay, I'm not promoting violence. I'm not doing any of that kind of stuff, but you do have the right to stand up for yourself. Okay, it doesn't mean be ignorant and be really loud with them. Be respectful to the officers. Okay, talk to them, because they probably don't know either. If you're acting like an idiot, if I was an officer and you're acting like an idiot, well, we're just going to shut that down. But if you talk to them like an intelligent human being and like a good American, okay, then they will understand that we are sick of this crap and we are simply standing up for our rights. And every good officer will allow you to do that. The corrupt ones won't, and then there we go. But the good ones will. You can beat it in court if they write you a ticket. But I mainly just wanted to throw a few thoughts out there. We have to start standing. Okay? Regardless of who wins this election, all you people that are sitting at home thinking, oh man, I hope Trump wins. Trump's going to fix it. Trump's going to fix it. We've been lied to for 150 years. Okay? If you honestly think that Trump is going to fix this without every one of us standing up, then you're foolish. One man can't fix anything. Even if he wanted to. He's not going to fix it. He can't. It's up to us. And I plan to not only bring down the IRS and the Federal Reserve, but we need to change Congress. And I'll tell you how we're going to do that. The missing 13th Amendment that was mysteriously vanished states that no attorneys shall hold public office. Our Congress is full of lawyers and attorneys and everything right now. It's ridiculous. And they took that out a long time ago. So we have legal grounds to stand and claim our rights as freedom. And once we start doing all this and we chip away at this, the door is going to open up and the floods of all of our rights and all of our privileges are going to come back to us. Okay? Just like when they made our birth certificate into a bond. And they're making money off of us. We have a right to tap into that money to pay off all of our debts. Now, what if every one of us did that? And we actually paid off all of our debts? Not only is it going to grow our economy and make our community stronger by doing this, but we're going to shrink the government's power and put them back in the place where they need to be. And that's the 68 square miles in Washington, D.C., labeled the District of Columbia. That's where they need to be. They need to be guarding our borders, handling our foreign affairs by our consent only. Every law that's put in place should have been voted on by us. They derive their power off the consent of the governed. Okay? And one thing that you guys don't understand possibly is the fact that implied consent means that if you were silent and you're sitting there screwing around on Facebook, like I do sometimes, I do that, and you're watching a game, you're doing all kinds of other distractive stuff, and you really don't care, and you don't reply, or you don't get involved in this, or don't say no, they're going to go on the assumption that you agree with what they're doing. Okay? Unless you say no, it's an automatic yes. So your silence means yes. Okay? You have to stand up and say something. We have to get involved. Absolutely. I can't stress to you how detrimental this is to our country. It has to be done, and it has to be done right now. Stand. Stand with me. We are not alone. There are thousands of us trying to stand in this country, in different parts of this country, and we are getting hammered. I met a couple the other day that's been doing it for 20 years, and the local establishment and the local judicial system has been slamming this old couple for a long, long time. And they know the rights and they know the rules. Stand with us. This is a challenge. All you bikers, make a statement. All you veterans, stand up. Make a statement. All you Americans, stand up and take your rights back. Because this is our hour. This is our time, right here, right now. We will not get another chance. We either stand up and do this, or we just lay it down and let them take over, and it's done. They will take over the whole entire planet. Stand. I love all of you.